Welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about health. Well, basically my health in particular. So let's take a look at some of the problems that I've accrued over the years and that I've actually got to deal with now. First of all, overweight. So as you can see, we've got a lot to get through, and we've got to reduce that. I've recently, actually, funnily enough, just lost a couple of kilos. I weighed in a couple of weeks ago at 96 kilos and I'm just down to now over 94 kilos. I need to get down to just under 80 kilos, which would be great. So I need to lose about 15 kilos at least before I start to look anything remotely like fit and healthy. Second thing is allergies. I've got, I believe, quite a few allergies. And in the next couple of weeks, we're doing an allergy test to find out just exactly the kind of things that I am allergic to. Okay, what else? Asthma. Okay, I've had asthma since I was a child. All right, it's now sort of progressed. Also, the doctor mentioned the word I hate, which is COPD. That comes from years of smoking, which I'd like to say I've stopped, and I just quite haven't just as yet. I did stop last year for about 11 months, and then just before Christmas, like an idiot, I started again, and I've not quite been able to kick it just yet. Just not in the right frame of mind, really. Lots of things have been going on in my life, and it's not a case of a physical thing. I really believe it's a mental thing. When I'm mentally right, I just literally stop, and I'm lucky that way. Another thing is eczema. I've had, again, eczema since I was a child, been taking shed loads of creams for it all the time, constantly taking creams, constantly taking moisturizers, thanks to the NHS, I must have spent many thousands of pounds of very expensive creams trying to get rid of it. Sort of did, sort of didn't. It's only there in patches. When I eat oranges, because one of the things I think I'm allergic to is oranges, when I eat quite a lot of oranges, then head to foot, I'm red all over and it's itching like crazy, and so hence the fact I think that a lot of this is again down to an allergy, which again we'll come to. What else have I got? Acid reflux is another thing I've got. If you don't know what acid reflux is, you're lucky. For people who have it, it's a nightmare. Basically, it's when the gap at the top of the stomach is actually loose when you're asleep and relaxes, and all the acid that's in your stomach, especially if you've been eating late at night, the acid starts to come up as you're laying horizontally. The acid then travels up and starts actually to burn the esophagus and eventually goes into the mouth in some cases, and it's terrible. Again, something that I think we may be able to help with diet, but we'll see. The list goes on. I seem to have a recurring foot fungal infection. Not nice to speak of, but let's be honest, that's why we're watching this, to try and sort out all our problems. No matter how much I try and get rid of it, it's great for a little while and then it just keeps coming back. And again, I think to a certain extent, and we'll talk about it in more detail, it's to do with diet. A couple of other things getting on the more serious side is a swollen left leg, and there are times when I've got a swollen left leg. That's basically circulatory problems due to things that I've been eating over the past and my overweightness and various things like that. The other thing I've had now twice, not funny at all, is my legs going blue. Actually blue. Colour of light blue denim. I literally was in the shower one day a few months ago and looked down and thought I must have had something blue on me, and the dye was running off down to my feet. By the time I sort of got out of the shower and sort of tried to inspect it a little bit more, they'd gone pink again. And then last week it happened again. And to be honest, I was worried. I was on the verge of going to the A&E to see what was going on. Looked at it up on the internet, and of course again it's a circulatory problem, the fact that oxygen isn't getting to my feet, and in extreme circumstances you have to have your legs amputated when the skin starts to die off because it's not getting the oxygen that it needs through the blood. The other thing I found is, especially as I'm getting older, wounds take longer to heal. Okay, so that's a given really when you get into our age, over 50s, 57 in my case, that yes, wounds take longer to heal. Next thing, a little less serious but still very annoying, energy dips. But even when I've had a very good restful sleep, woken up perfectly well, after a few hours I'm starting to have energy dips. Hence why I start hitting the coffee. Love my coffee with lots of sugar, which I've now started to decrease. And really, again, I think it's diet related, but we'll see. When we go on this diet that I'm going to go on, or this reboot, should I say, we'll see if my energy levels start to maintain and level course. Again, more embarrassingly, and well, very serious, my wife would say it's serious, is my snoring. When we first met about 4 or 5 years ago, I used to be able to sleep with her quite happily, cuddle her all night, etc. And the snoring was there, but it wouldn't disturb her. Now it gets to the point where, yes, it disturbs her so much that she needs to constantly wear earplugs because otherwise she can't get to sleep. Another one, even more embarrassing still, they keep getting worse, is frequent urination. Now, I've had this problem for a number of years, right? I have to go to the toilet quite a few times in the evening, but more to the point, even during the day. It's one of those things. I don't think I'm at that age yet where I should be constantly looking for toilets rather than looking for anything else when we go out shopping and that kind of thing. Things that are not diet related, my eyes really bug me. All my life, up until about 49, 50 years old, I've had perfect, in fact, we found out, above average eyesight. But my near sight is definitely affected, and to read or anything like that, I do need the aid of glasses, and I keep forgetting them, and then my wife goes out and says, oh, here, read this, what does this say? I can't read it, and I get annoyed. Once upon a time I had great teeth, like everybody does. I haven't eaten excessive sweets or anything like that, but what's happened is as the years have gone on, yes, my teeth have got worse. I've had the odd one pulled and then another pulled, so there are very distinct gaps. So we're going to see what we can do about that. The next thing is, and I don't quite know how to say this, and forgive me if you do, is Dupuytren's contracture. Okay, let's see if I can show you. I'll have to get quite close to this. If you see my hand just there, you'll see that actually there's a kink. What happens is the fact that there's growths on my tendons and the tendons are pulling. Now it's just pulling the skin at the moment. It will eventually sort of pull my fingers down like that. One of the options is surgery. At the moment, as you can see, I can hold my hand up perfectly and I've got full mobility and everything else. Now, some of the problems with the NHS is that you have to actually get quite bad before they do surgery on it, and then the surgery options are limited. So again, we're going to look into that a bit more carefully. I've also got tinnitus. Now, I've had this a couple of years ago checked into. It comes with loud noises, and of course when I was a DJ for about 12 years, of course I was living constantly 7 nights of the week with loud noises. What's worse is the problem that the tinnitus isn't in my ear, it's actually in my head. My ears are working perfectly. It's my brain that somehow hears the noise and adds the noise. During the day, I never think about it because I'm concentrating on other things. When it gets very, very quiet, late at night, then I do have a problem. I like to have noise somewhere so that my brain subconsciously can concentrate on the noise and block out the tinnitus. And of course the final thing which we mentioned already is the hernia. Now, the hernia has been surgically mended. Not just a normal hernia. This was because I had an accident, a paragliding accident, about 5-6 years ago, and they had to cut into me, and I totally busted my shoulder, broke my pelvis, broke my hip, and I've still got bits of metal inside me that are holding me together. Although I'm perfectly well, I walk perfectly well, I run perfectly well, ski, snowboard, etc, etc, so that's not a problem. But what they did is they cut me across my abdomen to get into my insides to actually mend my pelvis. And of course that left a little bit of a gap, and the hernia grew and grew until it got actually quite big. And so this time when they mended me, they put me back together, the surgeon had to cut 32 centimetres, practically from hip to hip actually, to actually open everything out and sort everything out, put everything back in, put a fabric, a sheet on top, and then sew the muscles to the sheet, and so on and so forth. Anyway, we had complications, which were not funny, and I still have a seroma at the moment. And a seroma is where the body finds irritation and then puts a layer of liquid in there to stop the irritation. And so I've now got this bulge in the lower part of my abdomen, which has actually come down quite substantially. It was worrying at first because it made me, even with my big stomach, etc., it made me look like I was pregnant. It was actually huge. It was massive. And so we had it drained, and within 2 days it came back again, proving that it was that. Now it's gone substantially smaller, but there's still a bulge there. So anyway, so those are the things we've got. Okay, so that's the list of the ailments I've got. In fact, it makes me sound like a physical wreck really, but somehow, as most people, I seem to manage quite well, even taking all these things into account. But the first list that we talked about was what I think is mainly going to be diet related. And in 2017, I'm going to start living my life differently.